I'm going to be showing you how you can use PI Coresight to view and compare related events. As we saw in the previous videos, PI Coresight is a great way of viewing continuous process data, but sometimes you might want to view data for specific events, for example, for batches or downtime events, and you might even want to compare the data between these events in order to draw meaningful conclusions. This is exactly what I'll be showing you. To do this, we'll play the role of an engineer working for a pharmaceutical company. We're responsible for the operation of bioreactors, so we've created this display in PI Coresight that shows us the performance of our bioreactors over the past month. We have a couple important KPIs here that show us the production over the past month. The circle is actually a multi-state symbol, and orange means that the production was lower than expected. If we go to the month before that, we see that the production was good. So what occurred during this month? Well, we can see events that occurred during this month by going to the Events pane. To do that, we'll want to click this button here. The Events pane is showing us all of the PI event frames that occurred within the start time and the end time of the display, and that are related to assets that have symbols on the display. So for example, I change the start time of my display to 90 days, I'll get more events in my Events pane. In order to show up here, PI event frames need to have been created in the PI Asset Framework. If you want more information on that, please check out our PI Event Frames playlist. Alright, so I'm going to change the time range of my display back to 1 month, and I'm going to expand the Events pane. The event that's selected in the Events pane will have the start time and the end time displayed, and will also have its attributes displayed in the Attributes pane. Let's say I want to change the time range of my entire display to the time range of the event. What I can do is right-click and select Apply Time Range. So I can see that these two events are actually batches. Now let's say I want more information on what occurred in those events. What I can do is right-click and select Event Details. What I'll get is a trend that has all of the time series attributes of my event. And I'll also have a table with all the attributes of my event. So based on this and also my KPIs here, I can see the antibiotic and biomass production and compare it between my two batches. And I can see that for this batch, they're a lot lower. So I know that this is my problematic batch. Now, some PI event frames have child event frames. And in order to access those, what we want to do is click on the arrow here. So this opens up all the child event frames of my batch. And of course, the child event frame that is important to me is the reaction. I want to know why I had a low production in my batch. And I might want to do that by comparing the reaction phase in this batch to all of the other reaction phases in my other batches. In order to do this, all I need to do is right-click and select Compare Similar Events. Now what I obtain is a whole list of trends. Right here, the events shown are the event that I selected and then the 10 previous events of the same type that occurred previous to my events by default. At the bottom here, what I obtain is a Gantt chart of all the displayed events. Since all of my events took about the same time, they look identical. So I know that the duration of the event is not the problem. If I find that I have too much data here, what I can do is hide a couple of these events by right-clicking, selecting Hide Event. So let me do that for a couple of these. Now I also want to highlight the event that I know is the issue, so the top one up here. Now I can see that in all of the trends, that event is highlighted. So now it's time to identify what's the difference between this reaction phase. So by looking here, I can see that the base flow rate seems to have been different, whereas all the other process variables were pretty much the same. So now I suspect that maybe the pH was the issue. But the pH doesn't seem to be shown in this list here. So if I know that the pH is actually an attribute of my Pi event frame, I can add it to this list. To open up the attributes, I'm going to click on this gray bar here. And I can find the pH in the list. Now all I need to do is drag and drop it onto the list of trends. And now I can scroll down and find the pH. Let me once again select the reaction phase that was problematic, so the top one. I can clearly see that the pH was very different for the reaction that was a problem rather than all of the other reaction phases. It looks like the control for my pH might have failed. So now I have actionable information that I can bring to my managers and tell them why the production was lower in our batch for this month.